The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by SIDEBAR, its guests, callers, and advisors are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS Verizon Media Group. SIDEBAR, a 103.5 The Beat podcast, is a production of IlTV Studios and may not be reproduced or represented, in part or in its entirety, without the express written consent of Verizon Media Group. SIDEBAR is the intellectual property of Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2024. All rights reserved.
Welcome to SIDEBAR 103 The Beat podcast powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna, and today we have with us, I'm guessing I've introduced you as a musical person,
I'll take it.
Right, and not like nuclear physicist. Tarai,
Please God, no.
is that your
That is
stage name?
that is my stage name, yes. Tarai.
All right, Tarai. You are a rake and scrape artist?
I am a multi-genre artist. Rake and Scrape is just one of the few, but if I had to put as my top would be mostly like jazz, R&B, soul, pop.
Because I was going to ask the question, why out of all the genres would you pick? Because you're fairly young.
Very much young.
Why would you choose rake and scrape?
I wouldn't say that I chose Rake and Scrape, but it was more so of a challenge. When I first came back home, because I had Philander Smith College when I graduated with a degree in psychology. How did I get into music? I have no idea, but here we are, right? But coming back home, once again, being a jazz, soul, R&B artist, but they were like, hey, we want to push you even further since you're back at home. It's like, hey, how about you try and perform some Rake and Scrape? And I'm like,
Who is the we?
so I perform with Falcons Entertainment.
Okay.
So entertainment company over here. So we normally sing in majority of the hotels, whatever special functions is it that they have over here. Nassau. Sometimes we may travel to other islands, but yeah, they was like, okay, well, we have a couple of songs that we want you to try out, and they enjoyed it. And they was like, hey, we like these songs. How about you perform these songs? I said, let's calm that down. However, I said one thing about me is I always try to rise to the occasion. Or once again, I cannot identify myself as an artist if I don't know how is it to also explore different genres outside of the ones that I feel comfortable with, if that makes sense.
All right. So you wrote some rake and scrape music, or
Some, but majority of them have been written for me, and it's just my job now as an artist to events that same thing inside the studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what was you say that like more or less you were thrust into it?
Yeah. There you go.
Was there a difficult transition from the art form of jazz? Because that's the people say the only true American art form.
Right. Well, I ain't even American. Pretty.
Right? But to this to rake and scrape,
Right.
this Bahamian art form.
Oh.
Was it a difficult transition?
Trust me, you would have seen the jokes that the people used to get off on me because I would come in, like, for example, having to sing, I ain't asking for much from Ancient Mind. You come on, I'm not asking for much. I just want, they said, let me stop you right there. Somebody get him 3 clicks on the conch salad and then let's bring him back. So literally, it was definitely a journey to get me from just listening to diction and tone, because I was also in the collegiate choir when I went off to school. So, those are the things that they look for, making sure that you sing a certain type of way, make sure that you round words a certain type of way. But now when it comes to rake and scrape back at home, you got to go based on feeling, colloquialisms, this, that. Those are the things that I had to capitalize on. And also just being free, because I think that's a big part of our culture when it comes to rake and scrape, is knowing how it is to just perform and really just like be at your best. And so they're like, hey, don't think about it too much. Like really just...
I mean, it sounds like you're describing jazz, but
Right, really?
right, yeah. But I mean, like, because I also
I like it though.
For me, right?
Uh-huh.
I in terms of when I hear like music, and I have to take it back to Future. When Future first came out, Turn Off the Lights, I hated it.
Right.
Right? But at the same time, I understood why people liked it.
Right.
To me, it was discordant.
Mm-hmm.
There was something wrong with the arrangement. There was something wrong with his vocal style. There's something wrong with the notes he was choosing to sing. There's something wrong with the chords.
Yeah.
Everything was, there's something wrong. Now, the thing is, between people being used to his style as well as, I guess, him being refined as an artist, it's more mainstream. And you see that happen a lot.
Definitely,
where it's like,
definitely.
it becomes a fusion of something, and it
Right.
it tempers down. In order for something to become popular, it has to be you have to be able to imitate it,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
With things like Bahamian music, I find that it leans more, and particularly, I'm going to say music based in the African diaspora.
Mm.
It leans more to the discordant, but sometimes it's so discordant that it's melodic, right?
Right.
So it's
Fair
like it's so slightly off, and like it's so different that it's a whole new sound.
Right.
Was that like because that when you say you had to they want you to round off the sound in the
Right,
choir, but
right.
now here it's like, oh,
Right.
it's too refined. You have to rough it up a little.
Exactly. You gotta rough it up.
Right. So I mean, like, is that because that not? But I mean, where does that leave the music itself? Like, where do you look at it in general when out of
Right.
all the music that you
I
practice?
completely understand where you're coming from, but for me, and I think it's also how is it that I look at each genre and what is it that I want to present. So
Right.
when I think about Rake and Scrape, a lot of times I tell people it's all about mostly feeling. We have a lot of artists who like they may not be the best singer, but because they know how is it to perform,
Right.
well, like that's really what it is that you are appealing to. The feeling is it that you get when you interact with the crowd. The feeling is it that you get when you hear a certain thing inside of music or whatever the case may be. And I think like when it comes to Rake and Scrape, you don't really focus too much on that, like how you could break it down so much. They don't really care about breaking it down.
Yeah.
They care about making sure when you go on the stage, are you going to throw a backflip while you singing the song and living your best life?
It's making people feel stuff.
My point, because when I bring a conch shell from in the back of the stage and launch it into the crowd, they can be like, oh.
They can be like, get them right off the stage.
Local mail, yeah. No, but fair enough. That's what I realized. Like, the more I perform, I realize interacting with my crowd, even and making sure that you still have a good tone at the same time too.
Right.
But mostly the energy is what is it that a lot of people look for in the Rake and Scrape when it comes to just performing. Now, when it comes to recordings, whole different ball game.
Yeah, because you know what?
Right.
Let's take a quick break.
Right.
When we come back, we'll talk about recording and influences and things like
Right.
that. You are listening and watching Sidebar 103 podcast powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. We'll be right back.
Need a new car for your business? Well, EV Motors and the Bahamas Development Bank have some news for you.
At the Bahamas Development Bank, we are committed to promoting Bahamian businesses and entrepreneurs. With our green lending program, businesses are able to access up to 100% financing to purchase electric vehicles for commercial and fleet use. We are so excited to partner with EV Motors for this initiative to encourage and empower business owners to drive green.
If you haven't visited our dealership on Tony Williams Starling Highway as yet, we have a wide variety of brand new EVs from some of your favorite brands like Toyota, BYD, and Mercedes-Benz. As the official distributor of Kerry Commercial Vehicles, we offer a selection of high-performance commercial EVs. Currently, you can purchase the Kerry Cargo Van and the Kerry Elephant Truck, and soon, flatbeds and box trucks for all your business needs.
To access up to 100% financing to purchase an EV for your business, you will need to provide us with a few documents: the business plan or executive summary, business license, historical financials, relevant KYC documents, and the vehicle and insurance quote.
With an interest rate of 6.75% and a repayment period of up to 8 years, you don't want to miss this fantastic opportunity.
To apply, visit our website today at bahamasdevelopmentbank.com or give us a call at 702-5700.
Welcome back to Sidebar 103 podcast powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna with Tarai.
Tarai. There we go.
So
Okay.
who is Tarai?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
That's fine.
Gotta meet him too.
Right. Bahamian musician.
Right.
All right. We were talking about Rake and Scrape and musical influences, right? I wanted to know during the break, I started to ask you about Fela Kuti,
Right.
but I realized
Yeah, you was calling me names. I thought we was here for an interview.
Yeah.
I didn't know we was.
No, because so Fela Kuti is this old Nigerian musician. All right, he was like somewhere between he was born in Nigeria.
Right.
His father was a Episcopal pastor.
Oh.
Then he got sent off to England. He came back and he's like, let's go back to the old gods. And
Leave my house.
Right? And he's like, everything, like the country is a mess and the politicians are corrupt.
Right.
And like, so he'd have these jazz concerts where he'd sing this Afro fusion, right? And when people they'd come to see it, that like it's a concert, but it was also like he'd call it, I think he used to call the club the temple or something. He also had like 30 wives. Anyway, right? And then, you know, the government.
Man, I'm assuming.
I mean, by standards, you know.
So maybe for more or less, right?
Right? And then, you know, they bombed his house and stuff. Anyway,
you just keep up with the story and
the whole point is, right? So different artists, he's influenced them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So most staff will refer to Fela Kuti, I guess everybody from Black Star probably refer to him. And then also Burna Boy, the song, with the part where he's like, I still want house, I still want car. It's interesting that after, like, let's say 50 years, that goes from somebody saying the government is corrupt and the poor man can't get a house to now it's like...
When you gotta filter things down and this will become...
Right, and now Burna Boy is singing it, but it's more like, I flex it. You know? I still will buy a house and car.
Right, we was advocating for injustices, but you know what, give me a car.
Right, yeah. So
and 3 houses.
But...
And 31 wives. Why not?
One more. Right? But the musical influence is there, right?
Yes.
And in a way, Fela Kuti reminds me of like somebody like Singing Bishop, right?
Sure.
In the like this entertainer who's also has this religious angle, and then also this like social justice angle. Because
definitely,
Singing Bishop does like a
lot of stuff for the community.
Right,
definitely.
But what I really wanted to ask you was like, who are your influences? Because when you talk about something like Rake and Scrape, it feels like a rustic, rural sort of art form, right?
Right.
So before we get to what you have to do in the studio to adjust to that, Rake and Scrape, at its heart, it feels like we are grabbing whatever we can make music out of and making music out of it. Who are the influences that you either, I don't want to say imitate, but like that help shape when you do it?
Oh, that's a very good question. And for me, it's one thing I did like that you say is I feel like I don't imitate anybody solely because of the fact that it's all new to me. So I had no choice but to kind of create my own lane versus having somebody to say, I think I look at people who I went in the studio with and they've assisted, like being in the studio with KB, with DMAC, even dealing with Falcon, who's been around from in the 90s straight up and now 30-something plus years and then being in the business. Like those are people who I look up to, even dealing with Ira Store. These are big Bahamian staples who have poured into me to kind of get something out of me, but to say like imitate them, no. So for me, I would use them also as just like a guiding factor, but to say, oh, well, yeah, like I got my way of thinking, or how is it that I learn Rake and Scrape or whatever. No, I think that just comes once again from me being an artist and truly understanding what music is, because music is so diverse. So for me, looking at songs like, for example, using My Island Girl, anybody who knows, it's a very chill song, and I'm a very chill guy, right? I had my own in my pocket, I'm a chill guy. Right, but still, so for me, being in there, and DMAC was the one who produced the song, and he wrote it as well. So the fact that I was the person who came in and he broke it down and said, hey, this is what it is that I kind of want for the song, I had to internalize that and be like, okay, I see the vision, I see what you want. I now have to understand how is it to bring that into the studio, and I feel like we did that because we only did that song in 2 takes. And I'm very proud of that because it was a pretty decent song in my opinion. But influence-wise, like I said, I would use those 4 as big staples for me, yes.
Yeah, when you're talking about, like, personally, I'd consider the renaissance of Bahamian music.
Right.
Ronnie Butler... Ronnie Butler was around from when nobody had cassette tapes, when they just had record players.
Right.
Right.
Got that out from Stone and it's on my boy.
And then you have like Bahamian music like Joseph Spence and all these other persons, but they would have been, I'm going to say, the earlier parts of the art. I don't want to say
so you better choose them words wisely.
Right, because you gotta Yeah. George Simonette
Right.
and the calypso folks, like a lot of this is stuff
Yeah.
from early on, right?
Right.
But you're talking about persons in the Renaissance. So now that we have, because you also took me aback when you said 90s was 30 years ago. It's like,
Yeah, I know. That hurt my chest too. Not gonna lie.
it's like, wow,
Yeah,
you're right.
it was.
KB's song, like Jessica She Fat, Count Juice, the album might be 40 years old.
40 years.
It might be. I have to double check. But anyway.
I don't know. My little box started to hurt when you say that. So that's kind
Right. So, but when we look at that, do you see it then being that we are in a new era of Rake and Scrape or Bahamian music itself?
Honestly, and this is of course just my opinion, but I would say yes in a good way and in a bad way. For me, I think that Bahamian lyrics were more authentic back then compared to how it is now because it was a lot more of storytelling. I just said to somebody else not too long ago, I said, I feel like country music and Rake and Scrape kind of have a similar vibe because once again, you're telling the story. Once again, you're talking about just because she fought or I listened to songs I think I had mentioned before, like I ain't asking for much. Like that's a whole song. Versus now, and I think music is now just became more popular, so they go for what's hype, what's
right. There's
whatever.
a formula to it.
Yeah, it's a formula to it because you want to make sure that people stick on to your song for as long as they can. So when it's repetitious, I'm like, all right, bet this is the song that I know gonna take me right. So I'm like, that's a bad thing, but the good thing about it is the staple is there from the '90s and beforehand. But for me, I enjoy the fact that we still have a lot of the same essence, and when I say that, meaning like some of the same instruments are still being utilized. That I know that still kind of makes it Rake and Scrape. We didn't water it down to the point where, well, for many artists, I wouldn't say all, but I still have there are still a lot of artists who still have that same type of feel where you could still hear the hints of the Coasting drum, the actual saw, the actual this, the actual that, and it's like, okay, well, it's still there, but you're still modernizing it because once again, this is not the 1940s, it's not the 60s, it's not the 90s.
I mean, they didn't use them in that time.
You know what, fair enough.
But I'm just saying.
But you understand where I'm coming from, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
And what we suffer from, or maybe it's a blessing in the Bahamas, is the fact that our memory is so short term. It's not short term. It works exactly how the human memory works.
Right.
You remember the worst things that happened to you.
True.
Because your caveman brain is like, hey, don't let this happen
Don't let this happen again.
Right.
Exactly.
And so outside of really bad things happening, everything else is negotiable.
Right.
And so if you don't sing songs about it or write stories about it, then it ceases to exist. So people will forget. They'll think like, oh yeah, the Bahamas has always had the goatskin drum and they've always had the cowbells and they've always had, when you hear the brass on Bay Street. And I remember when people was complaining about brass
really
being introduced on Bay Street.
That's insane.
I remember when people was like, oh, it's too much feathers on Bay Street. Like,
wow.
Things that we now consider staples.
Exactly, but they changed.
Right.
That's
And I remember that, like, I'm not so far, we're not so far removed from the time where a person could be on Bay Street looking like Big Bird. And it was like random, like, newspaper and stuff. Like, that's a recent time. Yeah. Right? But at the same time,
people are still alive.
Right. Who did that?
Exactly.
Right. Where our John Canoe looked like Jamaican John Canoe, which is closer to Halloween than a Christmas celebration.
That's a factual statement.
Right. And so, like, all these different things, when you talk about, like, the music and stuff, the instruments that are chosen, all right? Cool. All that is great.
Yeah.
Are you one of those persons, and this is the question that autocorrect messed up, are you one of those persons that believe that things, are you like a musical purist, or are you one of those persons that say music and culture should have the space to breathe and to adapt and to change?
I am definitely the latter because of my appreciation for music in general. I don't like to box anything. So for me, I understand why people don't want to lose the true essence of something, but I think that we have so many creative people over here in the Bahamas to where they're showing that we can literally take it and stretch it as far as it possibly can go while still keeping what it means to be a Bahamian and have that same Bahamian musical culture that's here. And that's one thing I will say I appreciate because I've heard the question or I've heard people talk about it a lot. And I've heard both sides because I'm not so fixated on one to where I cannot understand where somebody else is coming from. But for me, I do believe that we are in a place and we're going to continue to progress to where like Bahamian music can be a wider variety because, for example, I love the fact that I'm even starting to hear more Bahamian ballads. come about. That's something that I thought I would never hear. Or I've seen people perform them, and I'm like, wow, like this is absolutely amazing. We have a lot of talented composers over here, and you wouldn't even hear about them because of the fact that everybody just kind of looks at it from Rake and Scrape as that one specific
genre.
Right.
Right. And I think part of the issue is people not knowing where to classify people who not knowing where to put them. Because like in the early 2000s, big issue in hip hop, where do you put The Weeknd?
Right.
The Weeknd is not a rapper.
I didn't. People used to call him a rapper.
If you look at the genre that he's classified inside is hip hop.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
right? But it's like The Weeknd doesn't rap.
No,
he's not a hip hop artist in my mind.
Right.
Right. But then it's like that was the era of a lot of singing rap, right? And so
thanks, Drake.
You have somebody Drake, Chris Brown,
yeah.
But then somebody like Future, all these things where the lines are blurred, right? And so not knowing where to put them means that nobody would then know where to use them, even if they like the music. So I'm thinking with Bahamian music, you have something like it's a ballad, and I guess this is you'd have to tell me as a musician, how do you navigate this? Because on one hand, you may have something that is good, you may have something that you know can work.
Right.
It sounds good. Everybody who's heard it thinks it sounds good, but it's 7 minutes long.
Right.
The radio station ain't gonna play that.
True.
They also don't know what genre this is because you sound Bahamian, but it ain't rap.
Right.
It ain't Rake and Scrape. It ain't Goomba. It ain't this. It ain't that. And so they don't know where to classify it. And so you'd either have to take a risk and say, well, this is what I'm putting out, and hope that the public requests it, like American Pie, which is like an 8-minute song.
Right.
Right? People will request it.
Because I can get to that in a minute. Yeah.
Right. Or you say, well, let me do what everybody else is doing, make a 2-minute song for Spotify and get as much rotation as possible.
Right.
So like as a musician, how do you navigate making that choice between popular music and helping the music to grow and evolve?
And to be fair, like that's a thing where I think each musician has to have a conversation with themselves or really reflect within themselves. What type of artist is it that I want to be? Do I want to be a pop artist, a popular artist, to where like my stuff can be catchy, whatever, or do I want to be a game shaker? Because when you had mentioned like if the song comes up for 7 minutes, I went straight to Bahamian Rhapsody with Queen. They put it out on the radio when that song was 29 hours long.
It don't have no chorus.
Right, it has nothing. But the thing is like they believed in themselves, and that's another thing that I realized a lot of Bahamian artists, or artists in general, I wouldn't, but we're talking about Rake and Scrape. I'll speak about us. A lot of us are afraid to venture out because we're afraid of failure. I say, if you want to be an artist, be okay with understanding that you are not going to get it every single time. You're not going to have that hit every time. You're not going to have this. If you want that, continue to push for that. But if you want to be a game changer and a game shaker, be okay with understanding that you're not going to get every single yes. No one's always going to approve what is it that you do, because that's, to be fair, I could look at that as how we even came up with Junkanoo and Rake and Scrape in general. The African diaspora is big. The Bahamas is not the first place where Africans ever came from. So imagine what the sound originally sounded like, and then we came and made our own stuff here. And it's like, imagine if the rest of the African diaspora came in. What in the world these people over here doing?
Yeah, like
we would never have Rake and Scrape.
You doing something, but it ain't sound right.
Exactly. But we said, no, this is what we have here. And this is what is it that we like here. And this is what is it that we're going to continue to push here. So as time progresses on, once again, we still keep the true essence of something. But what's stopping you from honestly taking it to the next level? That's a question I always tell artists, like, ask yourself, what is it that you really want from you? And then you can proceed to move forward. Me personally, I put my song on there for 7 minutes. I'm okay with that. And because you may have 100 people who may hate it, but I may have one powerful person who said, let's take this global. I'm not going to focus on the other 99, even though I will value them and I appreciate their responses, because I appreciate anybody who listens. But anybody, it just takes one person to believe in you for something to go further, much further. Bahamian Rhapsody is a perfect example. Pretty sure any song is at the KB, all the rest of these people that put out are great artists. Man, I'm pretty sure they may have went to some stations and they been playing this. The one initially, and you have one station that said, you know what, forget it.
That's not going to Shaggy.
That's right. It wasn't me. It was him.
Right, yeah.
It definitely wasn't, because that was his song.
Yeah, because that literally was like a Hawaiian artist bootleg his song, because it wasn't a rotation. He was about to quit his tour.
Yep.
And the Hawaiian artist started playing it, and then the people in California heard it.
And that's the beauty
of music. And by the
music.
time they pulled from one city to the next city, everybody said, oh
Ain't
my
that
God,
something?
this song's so good. See,
Yep.
it wasn't me. But that was all by mistake.
Yep.
Somebody else.
So many things in music are a mistake to me. That's why I don't believe in things having to be so 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe in fluidity. I believe in individuality and creativity when it comes to music. I'm not a stickler because performing live, sometimes I'm like, bro, if you miss a part, that's fine. I said, we here to perform. We get this stuff. That's where passion, in my opinion, comes in. So it's like, that may be the thing that you think is a mess up, may be the thing that people be like, what's this nigga?
That's it.
That's it.
That's the one.
You see? So I just say you got to take it. That's what music is to me.
No, I got you. All right. So what we're going to do is we'll take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, you mentioned the music going global.
Right.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Bahamian music in a global space. You're listening to Sidebar, I Wanted to Be podcast powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. We'll be right back.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
Tired of driving around from place to place just to get your car insured and licensed? Frustrated with the process of being back and forth from your insurance company to road traffic? Well, BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers just made insuring and licensing your motor vehicle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Visit us at the Road Traffic Department, Section 1, Thomas A. Robinson Sports Stadium. At our office, you can purchase or renew your insurance or get your vehicle inspected. We at BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers represent major carriers. Step 2. See the professionals at Road Traffic to get your vehicle licensed. Step 3. Enjoy your day. Insure with BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers today, saving you time and money. Your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs. Great rates, convenient, excellent service. For more information, call us at 322-2221.
So you want a space, but not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
Welcome back to Sidebar, I Wanted to Be podcast powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna with Tarai.
Right.
See?
Good job.
Got it. On all media, on all social media platforms.
Exactly.
Okay.
On social media.
All right. We are talking about Rake and Scrape, talking about Bahamian music.
Right.
Do you think? And we never got into how you the process of recording music in the studio, but we'll come back. We can circle back.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think that there is space globally, or that there is potential for Bahamian music, honestly, on a global stage?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I want to say I do, but for us to do that, we're going to have to really identify what that sound really sounds like, so that we can portray that to the rest of the world. And the reason why I say that, I think if what's popular right now, I forgot what it's called. Jeez.
Afrobeats.
Afrobeats. If Afrobeats can make it, and of course, that's a multitude of different countries or whatever. But I'm going to use Nigeria as a prime example.
Right.
That's their thing. That's what it is that they have. So that's only one country out of the 196 plus that we do have. So if they can do it, why can't we? Now, mind you, of course, they have like the 10th highest population.
Yeah, they got millions.
Obviously. Yeah, so they have the ability to, garner that amount of people who will listen to the music. I think our goal would have to be start regionally. If we could start regionally, even southern United States, you could see how much is it. I mean, I hate to have to use this analogy, but almost like a cancer. Like you have to start in your area and just see how much is it that it can honestly spread.
Right.
I mean, we're gonna.
I got you.
Don't forgive me, but at least you understand where I'm coming from.
Right.
Right. But yeah, I think that is definitely the potential is there because I feel like that can happen with any music because you can see things happen all around the world. And I have to use this as an example, but when I was using Island Girl as one of the songs, but the person who produced it, I was letting it go around. He saw on Spotify it was doing great in the Philippines. I'm like, how? I can't even spell the Philippines. Okay, I could, but you get the point.
Right.
Like I've never been there. I've never talked to anybody from the Philippines. But the fact that the song was making its way over there, and they were like, oh, wow. Well, and I was like, oh, thanks. So it shows me that there is potential for it to be there, but we just have to learn how it is to be comfortable starting small and be strategic as to how is it that we can get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
But for me, it's mostly starting in the Caribbean, southern states, maybe even in South America, where you can have that type of Latin beat or whatever on and just kind of let it expand from there. That's just my theory.
Now, is that in the development of the sound, or is that in terms of looking for a market that will embrace it?
Market that will embrace it first, because the original question was, can it go globally?
Right.
I feel like it can once you appeal to the right markets at the right time, right place, whatever the case may be. With regards to sound, that's strictly us. We have to figure out how is it, or what that sound sounds like, because nobody can come here and say, this sounds Bahamian and you from Guatemala. Like, it's not going to make sense. Well, so I mean, they could.
Gentlemen.
What we going to, right.
Gentlemen, white German dude.
Hey, fair enough.
It's a great album.
I would prefer if the Bahamian sound was curated by Bahamians.
Yeah, no, I got you. But so I hear geographically that makes sense in terms of Tarai. But before Bahamian blew up with Who Let the Dogs Out in 2000, in the 90s, they was popular in Japan.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that we are overlooking markets that we knew traditionally worked for us just because we're getting sucked into what everybody else gets sucked in.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to watch. We speak English, so you want to watch an English movie, right? But we've interpreted that as American movies.
Right.
But the British conquered all type of lives.
I swear.
Australia, a whole entire continent
also
speaks English.
British is crazy.
Right? I'm saying. I'm just naming off former British colonies. Exactly. It's Canada, New Zealand. It's like all through Africa.
Yep.
Places in Asia. People speak, because India, they speak English as well as a multitude of other languages.
Yeah.
So it's like you have all these other different markets that are open to you, as well as there are markets where, in like places like Korea, where they weren't conquered by English people, but they're interested in English culture. I think that there are things where, because everybody wants to be on the Billboard Top 100, right, that we say, okay, we want to be over there. But at the same time, if you were big in Japan and this is once again Stephen's crazy idea. As a musician, if you became a millionaire because you were big in Southeast Asia, so Cambodia,
right,
and Vietnam, you big in Vietnam, right? Dudes them know you in Nepal, right? Like you walk off the plane and say, Tarai, right? But nobody in the States know you except for recent migrants.
Right.
Recent migrants like, oh, yeah, we know this dude. But nope. Hey, I don't understand, right? Would that be okay?
For me, personally,
I mean, as an artist in general, but yes.
An artist, right, and that's why I say it's honestly on a case-by-case basis, because that artist is going to have to really acknowledge what's more important to you.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to be fame, or is it fortune, or is it both? Like, what are you attaining? Because me personally, put me in Asia.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's all about, I don't need that, because when I think about music, I'm not thinking about, oh, how is it that people are going to flock to me and love me? That's an additive for me, but it's just how well is it that I can showcase my passion on the stage. Like, that's more important for me. But like I say, a lot of people, they want to make sure that their audience is people who they could, really be with and yada, yada, yada. And that's there's nothing wrong with that either. I think that both are fine. But you're right. I say, because I know of a few artists who are pretty big. Like right now, I know one person who's about to go back to China right now. He's been there before, and they asked him to come back because he was pretty big. So he have a new album that's coming out, and he's a Bahamian artist.
Yeah.
And so my thing is you now have to come to grips with what is it do I want to see one, because I may be able to be big in China, but somebody over here may not even know my name in my own home country. Are you comfortable with that?
I mean, personally, I would be. But that's, again, this is a question that I feel, and all of that is a part of the global conversation, because if you're talking about, so something like rap doesn't develop in a bubble by itself.
Right.
For rap to be invented, you need people singing reggae in New York.
Yep.
And their children playing with the idea of chatting, but they're using American music to sample it to develop this thing called hip hop.
Right.
And then 50 years later, it's its own genre.
Yep.
It's all over the world, right? But it's coming out of that Jamaican sound.
Yeah.
Right? But people aren't looking at it like that necessarily. And so there would have been persons who those kids would have heard, who Biggie Smalls might have been listening to, but at the same time, that artist, because what's her name? Sister Nancy. Sister Nancy, Bam Bam. What a Bam Bam.
I was going to say yes for the sake of yeah, sure. Oh, yes. Oh, you had to get to that part. Okay,
right. Right. So it's like, that song's been sampled multiple times, it's been used multiple times, but only of recent has she been getting any sort of acclaim or attention from that, because she recorded it. It was a one-off. They just let her inside there. She do a little thing. She did a couple concerts or whatever, but like in general, she didn't get what she should have gotten out of it at the time. Luckily, she's still alive.
Right.
So now she's able to find a lawyer or two and get some
royalties or something from it, right?
But it's like, how many people are willing to do that because they just love the music versus
my point,
right? Because then I think that's where we find ourselves saying, well, what does my music sound like? Am I going to be chasing after what's popular versus let's do the music,
right? Being an authentic artist of what is it that I want to do versus what I feel like people want to hear.
Right.
And that's a big thing, because I've noticed that a lot of artists now too, and I hate the fact that I'm not even thinking of a lot of Bahamian artists, but I use, it's common as Cynthia Erivo right now, Wicked.
Right.
And everybody here, and I say Cynthia's 38 years old. She's been around for God knows how long.
Clearly, she's done stuff before to get to this point.
Right, exactly. And so a lot of people are not willing to put in the work or be disciplined enough, because it is discouraging being an artist, being overlooked, because, it's also a who you know type of thing. So somebody could be much less talented, but because they're connected to the right people, they get a little bit further. So it's like, why am I even pursuing my whatever in this business? Why am I, I might as well call it quits, or just be comfortable with what it is that I brought out. You have to discover within yourself as an artist to say, what is it do I want to see? Am I in this for the long haul? Am I going to do this part-time? Am I going to be comfortable with just having the short-term fame of my little 15 minutes right now? Am I going to be okay with making music that may not even be solid right now, but in 20 years, that may be the hit?
Right.
That's the kicker. Am I comfortable with that? A lot of people are not. And that's not even just from Bahamian artists in general, but just globally. But I think for us, a lot of Bahamians are not exposed. Remember, a lot of Bahamians don't even leave the Bahamas, or the closest they're going is Florida. You call off a couple countries earlier, they probably like, let me go ahead and Google. I ever heard this before, man? Bangladesh, Vietnam.
And that's the popular ones.
Right, my point. And so my thing is I think we'll have a lot more people who push a lot more once we are exposed to a lot more, because it inspires you at the same time too, to know that there's so much more out there. The United States is not the only thing in the world, but that's what we've been exposed to due to media, whatever. Jamaica is not the only country in the Caribbean that's big for music. Just Trinidad is not the only place that you could go for soca, whatever the case may be. So I need us to understand, like, hey, there's more to the world where you can appeal to different places. There's places in Europe that may enjoy our culture. There's different places in Africa that may enjoy our culture. There's different places in South America. Many different places in Asia, like you would call North Asia, Southern Asia, Australia, which is a whole continent within itself. Man, we have more out there, but I think that we've just been limited to thinking that if you can make it big in the United States, you have made it.
Right.
If you can make it big in the Caribbean, you have made it. I've always been under the impression, like, I'm ready to go global. I don't care about just one or two. I respect them, obviously. But my thing is I've had an opportunity when I went with my friend to Portugal to celebrate his 30th birthday. I got on the stage there and I sang, and I had everybody just over there. Mind you, it wasn't Bahamian music, but as a Bahamian artist,
Yeah.
it's nice to hear, oh, you have somebody coming from the Bahamas. Oh, wow. What is a Bahamian doing in Portugal? You would not know, but the thing is that's how you get exposure.
Right.
And that's how you kind of build yourself up as an artist and just hope. My biggest thing that I always say is if I could get one phone out, I could.
Yeah.
Because that one phone, that one video could be sent to somebody literally anywhere in the world, and they'll be the people who would want us. I'll take it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't think that far ahead, in my
Now,
opinion.
I have a controversial opinion,
You know,
and so you could let me know as an artist, what is your thought on it, right?
yes.
I think that I know for a long time what they used to tell Bahamian musicians and Bahamian artists is, let me see your numbers at home first
Yeah.
before
Right.
we could sign you or whatever, right? I'm very much on the fence in terms of signing ever since. I mean, people don't like Chance now, but after what Chance did, it's like maybe like how he succeeded
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
up until the point. No, people just hate, right?
Yeah,
But, right? So Chance the Rapper, he did 3 albums. Technically, he is an independent artist, right?
Yeah.
It's not technically. It's just that he built out the studio as opposed to
Right.
signing to somebody.
Yeah.
Right? So because of that, I have feelings about record labels in general. I don't think that
people
that's
are having a similar understanding up and now too.
right. I don't think that should be like your goal in general anymore. Right? With that said, though, I have this thought, this opinion that you shouldn't strive. A place like the Bahamas is a great testing ground, but you shouldn't try to be number one in the Bahamas.
No.
Because if you're number one in the Bahamas, it's too specific based on our tastes.
Definitely.
You want to be top 5, top 10. You want to be in the conversation. But I don't think that being number one in the Bahamas translates well outside of the Bahamas.
Yeah, that's specifically, but that's nationally. And that's as far as I think that it's willing to go to, because for me, I think that we got to talk numbers. But you could be number one over here. You could have 400,000 people. You could have everybody over here listening to you. And that still wouldn't even really, that's 1/8 of Chicago.
And I'd have the question,
one city.
What do all 400,000 of us agree on? That got to be a very specific thing. We don't agree on nothing.
Nothing at all.
Because you can't find, let's say 200,000 people who agree on how to prepare conch.
Exactly my point.
Or even eat it.
So flamingos are pink. I think we could agree on that. And like, that's even a debatable thing, because
Well,
when they were
not
young, they were
debatable,
white.
sorry.
Exactly my
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
I'm like, at this point, but that's what it is. So that's where influence and likability, I guess, have to come in, because you will never be, and you have to be comfortable knowing you will never get 400,000.
But I'm saying that's okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so then this is the last bit before we go to, because Gabby is behind the camera flailing, right? You look at somebody, like Tony McKay, right? Anthony McFarlane, the Obama, right? You have, what's her name? Nina Simone covering his songs. He's opening for Bob Dylan, right? But I don't think he ever was big in the Bahamas. There was tons of people who were like, we ain't playing this music.
Yeah.
They didn't stop playing this music on the radio until he died.
Yep. Oh, that's a given. Everything is go up when you
right. But it's like his popularity in the Bahamas was negligible compared to what it was outside the Bahamas. Same thing with Joseph Spence. Joseph Spence was more recognized and is more recognized outside of the country than inside the country.
Do you think that they have a problem with that?
Who?
The artist is it that you call?
Well, he's dead.
I know. I mean,
these are all dead people.
I know, but I'm saying, do you think that
I think that
they had a problem with that? There we go.
I think that to some extent they did, but also, so with Tony McKay, I think he might have had less of a problem, because he still had the opportunity to move back away, go to New York and do whatever, right? But somebody like Joseph Spence, I don't know if he fully was able to realize the potential and the value he had. Because at the end of the day, the reason I bring up those guys is if Tony McKay was alive today, he would not be able to get studio time.
Mm-hmm.
If Joseph Spence was alive today, he would not be. He wouldn't have a guitar.
Yeah.
Nobody would let him play even in church for free.
Right. No.
And these Abdul people have web courses to say, learn how to play like Joseph Spence.
So now, I always look at it as fame versus fortune versus legacy.
Yeah.
What's more important to you?
That's the question.
That's the question.
The musicians have to answer. But
exactly.
we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Right.
When we come back, we'll close. This has been Sidebar. This is Sidebar. We still got one more segment.
Right.
What to do to be podcast powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. We'll be right back.
That was
Need a new car for your business? Well, EV Motors and the Bahamas Development Bank have some news for you.
At the Bahamas Development Bank, we are committed to promoting Bahamian businesses and entrepreneurs. With our green lending program, businesses are able to access up to 100% financing to purchase electric vehicles for commercial and fleet use. We are so excited to partner with EV Motors for this initiative to encourage and empower business owners to drive green.
If you haven't visited our dealership on Tonic Williams Starling Highway as yet, we have a wide variety of brand new EVs from some of your favorite brands like Toyota, BYD, and Mercedes-Benz. As the official distributor of Kerry commercial vehicles, we offer a selection of high-performance commercial EVs. Currently, you can purchase the Kerry Cargo Van and the Kerry Elephant Truck, and soon flatbeds and box trucks for all your business needs.
To access up to 100% financing to purchase an EV for your business, you'll need to provide us with a few documents: the business plan or executive summary, business license, historical financials, relevant KYC documents, and the vehicle and insurance quote.
With an interest rate of 6.75% and a repayment period of up to 8 years, you don't want to miss this fantastic opportunity.
To apply, visit our website today at bahamasdevelopmentbank.com or give us a call at 702-5700.
Welcome back to Sidebar, What to Be podcast powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna with Tarai. Tarai, I'm going to give you the final word. Let the audience know. I mean, you could leave them with, whatever it is that you feel that they need to leave here with.
Oh, very open anyway. But yes, once again, my name is Tarai. It's been an honor and a privilege to be here with you, good sir. I appreciate it so much, Stephen. What I want to leave with the audience today is really stay true to who you are and what is it that you want to do in this life. Authenticity is a lost art, and I feel like a lot of people are trying to be like everybody else, and that's not even just with music, but just with life in general. Be okay, be a little bit delusional, and be comfortable knowing that you are who you are for a reason. Individuality will take you much further than you think. And discipline, dedication, and determination is a perfect trio for success. Is that good enough? Or do I need to more?
No, that's good.
Okay.
That's good. Thank you so much for...
Absolutely. Yes,
take
sir.
the phone in my hand.
Right.
I thank you guys so much for joining us. Once
Thank you
again,
for the phone.
This has been Sidebar, What to Do to Be podcast, powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. I'll see you next week. True God still.
Yeah. Okay.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madeira Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
Tired of driving around from place to place just to get your car insured and licensed? Frustrated with the process of being back and forth from your insurance company to road traffic? Well, BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers just made insuring and licensing your motor vehicle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Visit us at the Road Traffic Department, Section 1, Thomas A. Robinson Sports Stadium. At our office, you can purchase or renew your insurance or get your vehicle inspected. We at BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers represent major carriers. Step 2. See the professionals at Road Traffic to get your vehicle licensed. Step 3. Enjoy your day. Insure with BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers today, saving you time and money. Your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs. Great rates, convenient, excellent service. For more information, call us at 322-2221.
So you want a space, but not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at IlTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?